right, so uh, all praise to Yahweh in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS, also known as the Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I am of that number. All right, so today's video is going to be on the beast, all right, that is spoken of in Revelation 13. Okay, so let's start here in Revelation 13 and 1. The heading being the beast from the sea. Okay, it says, I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Okay, first of all, when you go to the word, or when you hear about this beast rising up out of the sea, all right, the sea is a representative of people, all right, representation of people. The beast, okay, is a representation of a dominion or a power or a rulership. If you go to Daniel, the 2nd chapter, all right, starting at verse 31, with the subheading being the king's dream. Daniel 2 and 31 reads, Thou, O king, sawest, and behold a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. The image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that stone was cut out with hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and of clay, and brake them into pieces. Verse 35 of Daniel chapter 2 reads, Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. All right, so let's go back over that really quick, touching on some of these verses. Again, thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. So Daniel was interpreting a vision that Nebuchadnezzar had seen. All right, it was a statue with a head of gold. All right, you can look the statue up. I don't think I have it in any book out here. Let me see if I can get a quick picture of the statue. Okay, so here's the statue. All right, hold on a second. All right. See, I'm trying to get it to focus here. As you can see there, all right, the top one reads Babylonian Empire, and Looks like this is pretty blurry, so I don't know. Let me see. Okay, there you go. It says the Babylonian Empire. Okay. Second one was the Medo-Persian Empire. All right, the silver. Babylonian was the head of gold. The Grecian Empire. All right, the brass. Okay. Head of gold, silver, brass. And then the Roman Empire. Okay. The dragon. It even says the dragon here. Okay, so this is the vision, and then the end of it. All right, the miry clay and the iron. All right, and then Yahweh Shai is that rock that comes and smacks this thing and breaks it down. Okay, destroys these rulerships. As you can see, it is rulerships. Okay, and there were more. Excuse me. There were more rulerships than this. Right, but this is tracking the lineage of Israel. The Israelite story. Okay, the Israelite timeline. All right, because this is what the scriptures are for. The Israelites. All right, there were more kingdoms even outside of the statue. All right, so there were civilizations even before these kingdoms. All right, so let me read this as a matter of fact because I clicked in typed in Google statue in Daniel to get that image. So let's just read what this summary was of it. It says in Daniel chapter 2, King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream of a large statue made of different metals, which Daniel interprets as representing a succession of world empires: Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome. Okay? So, this is what we're talking about here. But you will see, we're talking about beasts, and you'll see that this is also described, these rulerships are also described as beasts also. So let's go back here to Daniel 2. All right, since we read that summary, okay, we don't have to go over the scriptures that we just read here from Daniel 2 and 31 through 35 even, because we just spoke of the Lord being that rock, right? That stone that broke these empires, all right? Because when the Lord comes, when he returns, all right, all of these rulerships are just done. They're over with. All right, but these rulerships have to play out. Even the bottom, all right, that miry clay mixed with iron, all right, that's the rich and the poor of this rulership, all right, which the beast is a system. Okay, it is a system. It is an Edomite topped system. Okay, also it has vassal states, as you'll hear in Revelation. It talks about the 10 crowns. Okay, 10 horns. All right, or the 10 heads or something like that. We'll get back to Revelation 13 and read that. Okay, but so let's now move to Daniel 2 and 36, with the subheading being the interpretation, Babylon, the first kingdom. As a matter of fact, I'm going to grab this camera again so we can look at the screen. Okay, again, Daniel 2:36, the interpretation, Babylon, the first kingdom. This is the dream and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. Remember, this is Daniel talking to Nebuchadnezzar, which was ruling, okay, when at the time of this vision. All right. And then as you see down here, Daniel 2 and 39, this is speaking of Medo-Persia. okay, and Greece, because it's going to go over two different parts of those that statue that we just watched. I mean, just seen. So Daniel 2:39, and after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. Right, which was Greece. All right. Notably, Alexander the Great. All right. So it went from Babylon to Medo-Persia taking over, and then Greece taking over. All right. And then down here, the fourth part of the statue, okay, is Rome. All right. Daniel 2:40. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. All right, all right, we're going to get to this part, but this being the reincarnation of Rome, all right, America is the reincarnation of Rome, or the second leg of Rome, okay, because it didn't topple all the way down, okay. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. Now, as you can see, in this day, okay, we were part of, and when I say we, I don't mean me and my teachers, the elders, and the Israelites, all right? What I'm saying is the nation that we are in right now, okay, they were part of a system, and they still are, all right? The EEC, or NATO, EEC is European Economic Community, all right, and NATO, okay. And who did President Trump? Who did President Trump? Okay, for a minute there, they kind of flashed that they were, getting along. Him and Putin, right? So what did that do? That pissed off the European Union. Okay, that pissed off the European Union. And that's what it means by shall be divided. All these countries are supposed to be pushing this Edomite rulership empire, okay? But at the same time, they are divided, okay? Prophecy will not be upset, okay? Will not be upset. Prophecy will ring true, okay? Thus saith the Lord, man. All right? As a matter of fact, let's get this really quick. Isaiah 46:10, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done. All right, the prophecies, okay? Saying, my counsel shall stand. There's no question. These things are faithful and true, the Lord's words, okay? All right, so again, declaring the end from the beginning and from the ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Who's going to stop the Lord, man? All right, no one, because everyone is moving exactly how the Lord intended for them to move. People like to think that there is free will, but there is not. How can you declare the end from the beginning and have people running around here with free will? All right, if you're a demon, the Lord is controlling you. He put the demon spirit on you. All right, if you believe a lie, he put a lying spirit in your ear to get you to go that route. All right, and as for the brotherhood, if you believe, if you have faith, you have received that gift from the Lord. All right, everyone's walking according to the Lord's pleasure, man. Which again, all right, is where fear should set in. If you are walking contrary to the Lord, if you are of another nation, of another belief, of another philosophy, if you are an Edomite, or if you are a 2/3 Israelite, you should start questioning that, man. If there is no free will, which there is not, right? And I'm walking contrary to the Lord. He's making me do this, right? To what end? Right? To what end? The nations outside of Esau, okay, outside of Esau and the nation of Israel, the kingdom of Israel, right? The other nations are going to be put under captivity, man. Under subjection. Excuse me. Under subjection. All right. There's going to be no more following these different philosophies and beliefs, including this world's beloved Jesus. All right. Jesus is this world's beloved. Yahweh's beloved is Yahweh Shai. All right. These are two different entities. Yeah, I'm speaking of Yahweh Shai and Jesus. All right. Yahweh Shai is a true Messiah. Okay. He's a true beloved son of Yahweh, the Almighty, the Most High God. All right. There's going to be no more of this. No more of this going on. No Buddha. Okay. No other gods. You're going to find out these other gods are fake, false, phony. And they're all going to get people fucked up. That's period. Including, again, this world's beloved Jesus. All right. Which is a fraud anyway. He's a fake. All right. Jesus is an Edomite, man. Okay. So as far as Edom, as far as the nation of Edom, they're going to be put into captivity, man. Hardcore captivity. All right. Hardcore captivity. Let's show you this really quick. Actually, no, it's not in Revelation 20. It's actually in Revelation 13. All right, let's go here really quick just to show you. Revelation 13 and 9. All right, what is this talking about here? If any man have an ear, let him hear. These are powers. This is a power given by the Lord to be able to hear. Right? That doesn't mean if you have ears, hear this. This is talking about if you have an ear for this truth, if the Lord has given you the power to hear, perceive, understand, all right, hear this. Revelation 13 and 9, or 13 and 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. What's the difference? Okay, maybe there were other nations in captivity. All right. But Israel has suffered the most because, again, these laws, statutes, and commandments were given to Israel. So we bear the brunt of the punishments. All right. And another difference between the captivities is Esau overstepped his boundaries, man. All right. Like Pharaoh was supposed to let us go. Okay. Esau, there was a certain point where he wasn't supposed to keep doing the things that he was doing. All right. But he kept slaughtering and still is slaughtering Jacob. Okay. That perpetual hatred is real. If you think it's about color, you are lost. It is not about color. Color reminds them, maybe. All right. Color reminds them because they got their melanation taken away from them. All right. That's a form of leprosy. But really, what it's about is the birthright. This is what Esau wants. All right. Okay. So again, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Yes, we believe in this. We have faith in this. All right. And we wait patiently through all this suffering. All right, we wait for it. You know why? Because the Lord told us this is a condition of the battle. All right, this is what we must go through. All right, his perfect son went through, suffering, and he was perfect. So why should we think that we're going to receive better? We are following in his example. All right, all of his example, the bitter and the sweet. Okay. All right, so let's go back here for a minute. Again, now you see we're in the bottom, Rome. Daniel 2:40, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break and bruise. Whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay, part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay. All right, these people are divided. In their system, they are divided. Let me see if I can find this really quick. Matthew 12:26. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? All right, Matthew 3:26. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. Luke 11:18. If Satan also be divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? Because ye say that I cast out devils through Beelzebub. And really, all right, that goes into something else. All right, because people were accusing the Lord of having a devil. All right, when they heard his doctrine, and when they seen, all right, the things he was doing. All right, so these two up here are the point. All right, let's go back. Okay, so now 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay, because they are gathering these other nations to them. All right, through divination, craftiness, through seeming like they are unstoppable. All right, who can come against the beast? Who can make war with him? All right, which is a scripture in the 13th chapter of Revelation. Let me find that really quick. All right, Revelation 13:4. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? All right, it's the same thing in this day. Okay, they got all these weapons. All right, the blessing for Esau again was a sword, again, which goes to Revelation 13 and 10 again. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Being a blessing, all right, having the sword as a blessing, you think he didn't use that thing? All right, what about Nagasaki, Hiroshima? All these wars, how many wars has America, since it's been a nation? How many wars, how many years, we'll do that, We know that we are approaching the 250-year mark of America being a nation, right? So let me see. How many years has look at that. How many years has America been involved in wars? The United States has been at war for 225 out of 243 years since its founding in 1776. 225 years, man. All right. Okay. It says, meaning it has been at peace for only a very small portion of its history. This includes periods of declared wars as well as conflicts and military interventions. 225 out of 243 years. This figure, often cited, means that the U.S. has been engaged in some form of military conflict for all but 18 years. Living by the sword, man. All right. So let me go back here really quick. Actually, let's go here to Daniel 7, because I do want to bring this up. Daniel 7 and 17. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall rise out of the earth. All right. Pointing to the beasts being a rulership, a dominion, an empire, a system. Okay. All right. Okay. And we'll do another part speaking more about Revelation 13, more about this beast that we're in the next video, Lord willing. All right, so I just wanted to go into this and make the point that the beast is speaking about a rulership and a dominion, okay? And that statue in Daniel 2 tells you it's Rome, but did it end in Rome? Okay, I mean, did Rome end? All right, the answer is no. All right, reincarnation is biblical, and America is the reincarnation of Rome. Okay, we'll get back more into that in the next video, Lord willing. All right, so hopefully this came through as sincere and edifying. And with that, all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha, Kwadash. All right, double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone. Also, shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I am of that number, and Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.